On today's episode of The Time Blueprint, we're going to be talking about the questions you must ask your financial advisors. These are the questions, whether you're going to be working with a financial advisor in the future, or maybe if you're already working with an advisor, that you need to make sure that you ask so that you can make sure that you're in the right relationship with your advisor and that it's a good fit for your situation in life. We're going to ask some of those questions today to Frank, get his responses, but also just talk about why these are important questions in the first place. So it should be a very educational episode and a lot of fun. Stay with us. Let's get to it.
All right, Walter.
Welcome to The Time Blueprint with Frank Oliver of Oliver Asset Management. Here we break down taxes, income, money, and estate planning, giving you the tools to make informed financial decisions and aim for better retirement outcomes. Your host is financial advisor Frank Oliver, the president and founder of Oliver Asset Management. He's the author of Your Time Is Now, sharing the essentials you need to know to craft a comprehensive and customized retirement plan. Dive in with us as we offer clear strategies and straightforward advice, all designed to empower you in your financial journey. Welcome to The Time Blueprint.
Rock and roll on The Time Blueprint once again. Welcome back, everybody. Yes. Walter Strohlt here alongside Frank Oliver. Frank, how's life treating you?
Yeah, life is great. Couldn't be any better. How about yourself?
Nice. Yeah, it is really good. It is really good. Yeah. We are going, I was telling you this off air, but we'll tell the audience the story, too.
It's a great story.
We are going, Connie got me a Christmas present this year, so we're going to do it this coming weekend.
I'm super stoked for you.
We are going to a dinner at a yurt in the mountains that you have to hike to get to the dinner.
Right.
So you or snowshoe, I guess, this time of year.
Yep.
We'll be snowshoeing up to the dinner, and then it's a candlelight dinner that's it's like all powered by solar power, and they cook everything over the stove and an open flame and whatnot.
That sounds amazing.
Hike back out when you're done.
Right.
Yeah. It's supposed to be -5 this weekend though, so
it's going to be a little challenging.
If I'm not back for the next episode,
I'll
everybody
know
will know
right?
why. If there's a new co-host here next week, it's been good.
Turn into a snowman, right?
That's right.
Walter the Abominable Snowman.
That's right. Yeah. That's what it might turn into.
Well, have fun.
I'll be frozen in place and on display for tourists to come see.
Well, they do Frozen
years.
Dead guy up in.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
They just moved it to Lion, so I think.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be Frozen Dead Guy 2.0 perhaps if we don't survive this. So.
Don't do that.
No, we'll be back. No worries. So, yeah, it'll be fun. I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, have fun
next time we come back.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
Well, let's talk about questions you must ask your financial advisor. Number one, best places to eat in town, right? Like your advisor should be giving you good advice. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure when folks come to meet with you that they do get some good recommendations on that.
We know every restaurant in Longmont.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. So yeah, if you're local, come on by, get some recs from Frank and the team. All right. So let's dive in. We got a good list of questions here, and Frank, we'll just be as transparent as we can on these. Feel free to answer these how you would answer them in the appointment, but we're also interested in just like why. What does this reveal if we ask this question? Why are we asking the question in the first place? So the first one, is it appropriate to ask an advisor, hey, how do you get paid? What does that reveal?
Yeah, we're very transparent about that, and I think it's very important to ask an advisor how they get paid. There's a lot of commission-only advisors out there. There's some advisors that charge a fee more like an attorney-based fee. You know, they'll charge you for phone calls, they'll charge you for the meetings, they'll charge an annual fee. And then we prefer the performance-based pay, so we charge a percentage of the assets that we're managing. If the client does better, we do better. If the markets go down, that forces us to be accountable and make some adjustments and go back to work for the client to mitigate against those losses or help manage that risk a little bit better. So we prefer the performance-based pay. There's some financial products out there that pay you a commission. We don't have any control over that. You know, we can't control how the company wants to pay us. So if somebody wants like a life insurance policy, that would be commission, but we don't get to pick that. But as far as assets under management, the stuff that we manage through Schwab, it's all a performance-based pay. We feel that's the fairest model.
So you could have an advisor who gets paid one way, or you could have an advisor that, in theory, gets paid all three different.
Yeah, we get paid all three different ways. We get paid multiple ways. If somebody wants a really complex financial plan built, we'll charge X for that, depending on the complexity of it. So, yeah,
gotcha. So that's just a really important question to ask because you just want that transparency and that trust
100%,
up front.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Excellent. All right, another good question to ask your financial advisor, or since we made it so eloquent at the top, you must ask your financial advisor this question. What does your typical client look like? Why would somebody ask that?
They typically look like you,
Okay.
They got big hair,
Nice big hair,
always
yeah.
wearing it. Yeah.
Fans of quarter
Just
zips.
like you, yes, right. I think our typical client's probably anywhere between age 55 and 70.
Okay.
We have clients that are much younger than that, typically referrals from their parents or grandparents. But most people seek us out due to our expertise in retirement planning.
Okay.
Getting closer to retirement, learning about the taxes, how to do income planning, Roth conversion strategies, when to elect Social Security, when can I retire. That's really where the work starts, in my opinion.
Okay.
So people seek us out for that knowledge because they know that that's just our area of expertise. So 55 to 75, fair amount of assets, gives us something to work with for the client.
Mm-hmm. Is it important for, like, if I was coming in to meet with you and I say, hey, I want to work with you, do I need to look like your typical client? Do I want to be like a typical client? Is that a good thing?
You mean like with their hair combed or showered? I'm not sure.
Maybe more from net worth or asset management. Age, obviously, since you highlighted that.
Yeah, well, and we don't necessarily turn clients down because they're not in the 55 to 70 demographic in that age bracket, But from a business model, and I don't even know if everybody else does it this way, but from a business model, if we're going to continue to be a successful firm and manage our scale and be efficient for our clients, we want to work with a particular age bracket. And we want to work with people that have a certain amount of assets, because otherwise we're spending a lot of time working with a lot of people that are maybe just getting started off in life.
Okay.
I love to help those people out. I really, really do. But there are other avenues for those people that don't really need complex planning at that stage of the game. But from a successful business model, we do look at certain ages and certain amount of net worth.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. What about this question? What is your investment philosophy? Why would someone want to ask you that? And what might the answers sound like?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's my investment philosophy or if it's just doing what's right for the client. So, everybody's got a different need when it comes to retirement planning. Some people have, deep seven figures. Some people have, a little bit less money than that, or they're still trying to accumulate for retirement. Some people have 3 pensions. Some people like to live a big lifestyle. Some people are very conservative. So my investment philosophy, honestly, is just doing what's right for the clients. But I think you need to have the 3 different buckets. So we set everything up in a bucket strategy where you have your liquid bucket, like we have talked about in the past, where you got 6 to 12 months cash to take care of any emergency funds that may arise if you get laid off for a job, something like that. Then you have your income bucket. So your income bucket is going to manage risk much better than a growth bucket. So when we're taking income from that bucket, we need to determine what their Social Security benefits are, what their lifestyle is, what their budget is, and then allocate X amount of funds into that income bucket to produce that income for them. Once those 2 buckets are established and we have everything built, then we go ahead and take a little bit more risk into the growth bucket, depending on their risk tolerance. But I honestly think if you have the cash bucket in place, you have your income bucket in place, and you can live a very comfortable retirement on those 2 buckets, you can afford to be taking a little bit more risk with the growth bucket, because we know that that's more of a longer term bucket, a 5 to 10 year bucket.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you could have an advisor who answers the question in one of those ways, right? Like, hey, my investment philosophy is high risk, high reward. Or it might be, I have a very conservative approach, and that's my philosophy. You tend to say, no, I adapt to what my clients tend to need or want, or what works for their situation.
Yeah, there's some basic, very basic cookie cutter models that as you get a little bit older, that your portfolio should become a little bit more conservative, right?
Right.
So you go from, 70-30 to 60-40 to 50-50 and so on. And that's just an age-based model. It's been around since the beginning of time. I don't adhere to that because I believe everybody's situation is entirely different.
Yeah.
For example, we have clients that have done very well savings-wise. They have multiple pensions. They have great Social Security benefits. Honestly, they're very blessed to have this money. They're very lucky that they were able to save this money, but they don't need it to live off of. Yeah. So a lot of times I'll ask them, what's your objectives for these funds? And their objectives will be either give to a charity or pass on to my heirs. It's a legacy plan for my family. Well, if it's a legacy plan and they're 60 years old, that money could grow for another 20 or 30 years. So there's really no reason to use a standard age-based model if that money still is going to grow for 20 years, if they don't really need it right now.
Yeah, you could have 2 65-year-olds in totally different situations
That's
in
exactly
life, and
right.
why would they be on the same financial plan?
Exactly. So it's custom for everybody.
Yeah,
Yep.
makes sense.
Yep.
All right, another question to ask your financial advisor would be, do you have a particular strength or specialty? What's the importance in asking that, and benefits of having one or not?
Time, taxes, income, money, and estate.
There you go.
There. Yeah. I really do like to focus on the taxes because I think that's the most overlooked component. of a retirement plan.
Area of opportunity.
Yeah, and I think people focus a lot on growth, and that's obviously a very important component. But a lot of times when we sit there and we look at somebody's retirement plan, and we'll use a 4 or 5% rate of return because our software, we have to put some number in there to forecast what the value of those assets are going to be worth in the future, right? So we'll use something fairly conservative. Honestly, 90% of my clients, if they never earned more than 4 or 5%, they'll be just fine.
Okay.
So shooting for the stars is fine. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's always necessary to achieve a successful retirement, but people overlook the tax component of this.
Yeah.
Am I taking too much money from my tax deferred accounts? Should I have done Roth conversions? Did I elect Social Security early and put myself in a higher tax bracket? So we focus a lot on Social Security, a lot on income planning, and a lot on the taxes. I think that's our strong suit. And once we have that established, then we go to work and build a really good portfolio for them.
Very good. Speaking of that specialty and the time blueprint, if you want to get a copy of Frank's book, Your Time Is Now, you can come on in, have a conversation with the team, and when you come in for a complimentary visit, you can walk home with a copy of the book. And again, it's all about taxes, income, money, and estate planning, all involved in that process.
That's right.
So very cool. If you want to get, again, a copy of that, you can contact Frank in the description of today's show. We have that listed out for you there. Or go to oliverassetmanagement.com if you're thinking about it right now and want to set up a time to visit. All right, questions to ask your financial advisor. Next one on the list here, Frank, would be how much contact do you have with your clients and how often should we meet in person or have a conversation on the phone?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think that's where our industry falls short is keeping in contact with clients. And the reason I know that is from prospective people coming into my office saying they haven't spoken with their advisor in 2 or 3 years.
One of probably the more common pieces of feedback you get, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. So we will bug our clients until they're tired of seeing me. And I don't mean that in a bad way. So I tell them it's like, we're going to start off meeting quarterly, right? Okay. And then if you get tired of seeing me every 3 months, and you very well may, then we'll take it down to every 3 months. And then, maybe we'll go, twice a year, or except not every 3 months, but every 4 months, and then maybe twice a year. So whatever makes them feel comfortable. But out of the gate, it's super important to establish trust. Okay. If you don't establish trust, you're going to lose that client. You put a lot of work into building trust.
Set the right expectations.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
And they need to, I think it's really important for them to understand our models, our philosophies, how we work, how the office operates, what we're going to do for them, how their investment portfolio is performing in different economic climates. And the more they come in out of the gate, the more comfortable and the more understanding they're going to have in what we're doing for them. Instead of establishing a plan for them, they come back 12 months later, it's not working the way they wanted to. Yeah. It doesn't mean that it was a bad plan. Maybe just the economic environment has changed quite a bit and things are just a little challenging like we saw in 2022. But if they come in every 3 months to start, on a quarterly basis, then they'll understand what's going on and we can kind of coach them through it and see what kind of changes they want to make. So
it's an easy one. I feel like that one maybe should even be at the top of the list if we were to order these in terms of some sort of priority.
It's very important.
Because communication's so essential to really any relationship working. Right. It definitely will make a big impact on your financial plan.
And there is a difference between quarterly and every 3 months, right? Are those synonymous?
Yeah. Quarterly and then every 4 months would be.
That's right.
What's the opposite of quarterly?
I caught myself right when you looked
tertiary at me. Or something like that.
We start off every 6 months and then we go to twice a year.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. What's the saying? 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Love it. All right. Let's talk about educational resources. This is a great follow-up question to talking about communication and just saying, all right, well, in addition to the communication, do you provide any other educational opportunities or resources, things like that?
Yeah, well, we have a full lower level here where we're doing our podcast right now.
Yep. There you go.
Hey. But we do lunch and learns down here. And so people can come down and just...
Down here being the basement, folks, we've got
lower level of the office.
Where we record the podcast. And then on the other side of this window that's behind Frank, there's a classroom. Which
full
is cool.
workshop room. We get catering station, everything. So we'll do the lunch and learns and buy everybody lunch. There is popcorn machine. That's my favorite thing. It's like, what is going to make people happy? What's going to attract them to the class? Popcorn.
That's right.
Who doesn't love the smell of movie popcorn,
Absolutely.
right? Movie theater popcorn,
Absolutely.
lunch and learns. webinars, podcasts, YouTube. We do a lot of dinner workshops as well.
So if they're not sick of hearing from you one-on-one, they'll get sick of hearing
from you from all the other that's
stuff
right.
that you're doing,
Exactly right. So,
but isn't that great? You want
it is.
to be educated not only when you become a client, but ongoing basis too.
The book.
Yeah, the book
The
is a
book
piece
is
of
an
that.
educational piece, absolutely.
So however you learn and want to be educated and kept up to date, you're kind of meeting people in a lot of different places.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about it.
Very cool. All right, another important question to ask your financial advisor would be, what happens if there's an emergency with my finances and you're unavailable? You're skiing in Vail. Like you're not shy. You might be snowmobiling. Something's going on.
Yeah, but we all got to live our life, right?
Right.
So I got to live our life.
So if I'm a client, what's going to happen if that's the case?
We got a full staff here, right? So in addition to me, we have Brittany that manages all the withdrawals and the required minimum distributions and the paperwork. We have Tyler up front that's very capable of doing everything. And then we have another associate advisor that can handle any situation that comes through the office. Yeah. So people are very well taken care of.
Yeah,
so if I want to go skiing with you, Walter
right.
and Vail,
that's right. We're going to go to a live podcast from the top of the
That's right.
mountain.
We should do that. Yeah, they'll be taken care of.
-5 degrees.
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
That would not be fun.
So that would be a good one to highlight here, because if you ask your advisor that and they don't have a great plan in place, and like, well, it's just me, and I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you on Monday or Tuesday when I'm back in the office.
Yeah.
Is that a little bit of a red flag?
It's just not a good business model, and there's a lot of solo advisors out there and they do a good job. I have some friends that are solo advisors, but you're right. I mean, if your clients need you, retirement's important. Their money's important. You have to be available for them. Yeah. So during market hours, if they need something, we need to be able to handle that situation. So I just don't think it's a good business model to be a sole proprietor. You do have to have a team if you're going to take care of multiple clients.
Yeah, it's a great point. So definitely just have an emergency plan in place. Your advisor should have that. And if they don't,
absolutely,
a little bit of a red flag.
Yep.
Got to make sure that you are going to be taken care of if something pops up.
Unless they want to come see me in Vail.
That's right.
Or the top of a mountain snowmobiling.
Well, you're open
they may
to that,
want to.
right?
I'm totally open for that.
It'd be actually kind of fun, right?
It would be fun, yeah.
There you go. All right, last but not least, question to ask your financial advisor. Will I be working with you, someone on your team, or both?
They would work with the team. Now when it comes to the financial planning and the investing, it would be our associate advisor, Kyle, and myself.
Okay.
When it comes to any withdrawals, required minimum distributions, paperwork, Roth conversions, Brittany handles all of that for us.
Okay.
So we have a team that's very experienced in handling all facets of the business. They work with Tyler as well. I mean, he does all the scheduling. He sets all appointments. He sets up all the educational lunch and learns and workshops and Christmas parties and pig roasts and everything we do for our clients.
The whole team.
They'll meet everybody.
Angles.
We're all one big team here, so it's a big family.
That's neat.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Important question to ask, though, because there are advisors out there who may just be the figurehead, right?
That's right.
You could have a business model, right, where you're on the podcast, but then when people want to come in to meet with you, they actually never interact.
So
with
I could be like
right?
the Peyton Manning.
The Peyton Manning,
right? Exactly.
Yeah. You're just sort of hey, I'm here to communicate with you about the business, but you're not going to actually work with me. Not all offices are set up the same way.
No, you're right. And there are some offices where they do have the main advisor that is kind of the figurehead. He's the guy that's doing the marketing. His face is on everything, but he's got a team of advisors behind him.
Some people might not like that. That could be.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's any right or wrong to that model versus my model, but I like to work with my clients.
Yeah.
I like to be hands-on with my clients. And when they come in, I want to understand their situation. So, if Kyle's working with them and then he's out for one day or, whatever that situation is, if he's on vacation, I can pick up and work with them because we've both worked with them hand on hand. We know their situation. Everything's built into the software. So we do try to, both be interactive with all of the clients.
You mentioned some financial advisors are solo, right? So there's no other support staff or anybody
That's
else
right.
you're going to talk to. It's going to be the same person every time you call. And that can have some benefits, but then kind of going back to the previous point of the emergency issues, or if they're just overloaded or have a lot going on, that can be a detractor perhaps.
Very much so. And I just don't know if it's a scalable business model. And we focus really hard on building an efficient model to take care of our clients. We have 500 or 600 clients, maybe even more than that. And you're not going to be able to handle that volume of clients and be efficient at it by being a solo advisor. So we built a team on purpose just to build a nice firm and take care of everybody.
You get to help more people that way.
That's right.
And you have a good team around you.
That's absolutely right.
That makes, I'm sure, your life a lot
And now
more
we're
fun.
friends, so life just gets better, baby.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's right. We'll just keep adding more podcasts and start bringing in guests and interviews and all sorts of stuff.
I'm going to do my hair just like yours next time.
There you go. Let's get
that's right.
I do need a cut. Very good. So there's some questions you could ask your financial advisor that'll really just make sure you should, Frank Frank, you did a great job of giving us some examples of what it might sound like if we came in and talked to you and asked you those same questions. And so that gives you an idea of maybe what it should sound like. If you're getting a lot of very different answers when you ask your advisor these questions, not saying it's a red flag, but it might be then time to maybe get a second opinion. Explore
Shop
why
around.
the answers are so different.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, or if they're being maybe hidden about some of these responses, that would be definitely a red flag too. You want transparency no matter what these questions are.
Absolutely.
All right, very good. If you have any questions for Frank specifically, or you want to set up a time to visit and meet, whether it be in person in Colorado or from Zoom online, wherever you are, you can do that by scheduling a free strategy consultation today. You can go online to oliverassetmanagement.com, schedule your time to visit there online, or call 720-897-TIME. All right, more coming up on today's show. Up next, we're going to get to know Frank a little bit better. All right, Frank, time to get to know you a little bit better. Here's today's question.
Yeah, right.
What's a small thing that makes your day better?
Well, I can't really say it's a small thing, but when I work out in the morning, that absolutely makes my day better.
We'll take that.
You can probably tell just by looking that I
every day
love
you're in
to
the
work
gym,
out.
right?
That's right. Yeah. Well, we have a home gym.
Okay.
So I don't have to go anywhere.
Nice.
So love that. And then
and you did this morning.
I did do
made
it this
your day
morning.
better?
Yeah, I
All
worked out for about an hour this morning. So
What do you have like a machine of choice?
it's called a tonal. You ever heard of the tonal?
Is that the mirror thing?
Well, it's got a mirror on it, but it's
Okay.
not really a mirror. So it's got live coaches that come up on the screen, and you can
Okay.
choose your workout. But that one machine will replace. You could do 1,000 different workouts on it. It replaces every piece of equipment that you could possibly buy.
Is
It's
that
pretty cool.
LeBron? Is he the
Yeah,
like the spokesperson?
it is
for that?
LeBron.
He's the one
Absolutely,
I've seen the
that's right.
commercials?
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. It's probably the smartest piece of equipment I've ever used. It's my
Interesting.
favorite. It's my favorite piece of equipment in my house.
That's cool.
When I use it.
Are you doing
But I
it
do like to work
self-paced,
out.
or you actually have like a coach there on the screen, or is it
Either
more of a
or.
group
So we
class?
just started the 4-week challenge.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Nice,
yeah.
nice.
I'm actually excited about it. It's good because the coaches motivate you, and you get the app on your phone. So every morning when you wake up, it's like, okay, let's crush this. Today's the day. Let's get back at it.
nice.
Congratulations. And it tracks your weight and how many. You get awards for you lifted 100,000 pounds and 200,000 pounds and 500,000 pounds. And then you
Nice.
got the 1,000,000-pound club and all of that. So
That's
yeah.
cool.
It is
That's
pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the running app that I do. It's like, you've ran around the world now. It's like, man, that sounds awesome. It only took you 8 years.
Right. It started when I was 4.
Oh, I love it. You've made it to the moon.
That's right.
But there is a psychological component there that does seem to actually help. Like, even though it seems silly, some of those milestones,
Yeah.
there is something that's like, that's pretty cool.
Everybody likes an award, right? Even if
Yeah.
it's a ding on your phone.
Right,
It's the age
right.
we live in.
It's cheap, but it works. Yeah.
We all need a little help with motivation from time to time. So
Yeah.
if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. I'm good
Nice.
with it. Yeah.
Well, I'm right there with you. A little thing to improve your day definitely is that routine of
Yep.
getting a workout in. Never fun to think about the workout in advance, but have you ever finished one and regretted working
No.
out? Like, you always are glad.
No,
you
it's
did
like
it.
once I'm in the middle of it, I'm really glad that I went down there
Yeah.
to the gym to get working out, you
Yeah.
know. But no,
All
I
right.
always feel better when I do it.
Here's my small thing that makes my day better.
Can't wait to hear this.
I'm a big Ziggy's fan out here in Colorado.
Some of my dear friends own Ziggy's in the entire franchise.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, great to know.
Yeah.
I might be their top customer.
I'll let them know.
Everyone knows my name when I come.
Yeah.
I don't even say anything. I just pull up and they say, "Hey, Walt, come on around." So they know me. So I stop by every morning, nice and
Yeah.
early.
What's your coffee of choice?
I'm weird. I mix it up every day. So
Really?
they were like, "You never order the same thing twice, it seems." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty much different all the time."
So my first office here in Longmount was right next door to Ziggy's. And when I mean right next door, like if you knocked on that wall, I could put my
You
order
put
in
your
right
order
there.
in?
Frank's
Nice.
knocking. And it would be the Americano. I always
Okay,
knew when I
yeah.
knocked on the wall, you know.
I've been
so.
doing the just a simple like cafe au lait lately. Has
All
been
right.
a little bit of my
I don't think I've ever tried that.
just like a decent amount of milk in there.
Okay.
I mean, I'm doing the oat milk.
Yeah.
Doing the oat milk. That's good.
Good for you.
I mix it up constantly, and they're
Yeah.
like,
That's cool, though.
We never pre-make your drink because you always order something different.
It changes the spice of life.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I order that, and then I go and I sit in the park. I work from home, so most of the time, and so that seems
So do you
weird.
go to Ziggy's and then drive back home?
But I pause before I drive back home. I go to the edge of the parking lot and I stop and I look over I-25 technically,
Right.
But I look over the mountains and
Okay.
the sunrise comes up
All right.
and lights up the mountains, and I sip my coffee for a couple of minutes, listen to the radio or to a podcast.
You turn it
or
into a whole
something.
cool production, don't
So
you?
I do. That's
I like
the little
that.
thing that makes my
Yes.
day better, gets me
Yeah.
off to a good start.
I
So
like that.
it's my tradition each morning. So
Good for you, man.
there it is. All right, let's get to know one of our listeners a little bit better. We've got a good listener question, and we'll open up the mailbag now. All right, so our mailbag question today comes to us from Jenny. And Jenny says, I got a raise recently, Frank, and I want to be sure I put the money to good use instead of just going out to eat more often. That's a good idea. Should I save more money for retirement or use it to pay extra on my mortgage?
That's an awesome question, Jenny. Thanks for sending that in, by the way. So what you want to look at is if you got a raise, congratulations on your raise, by the way. And it's always a big question. Do I pay down debt? Do I pay down my mortgage, or should I put it into savings? And I think people like, the ability to be debt free, and they can kind of see that balance go down, and it makes them feel good that they're going to own that house a little bit sooner.
Yeah.
I don't think what people realize is that the magic of the compounding effect is so powerful, right? So if you're going to pay off your mortgage, let's say that your mortgage is a 3% loan, and the average mortgage in America right now is probably 3.5%, right?
Sure.
The markets have been a little troubled lately, but if you look at the 10-year average on the S&P 500, it's pushing 10%.
Okay.
So I just don't think that I would pay off a 3% loan and miss out on an average almost 10% of the S&P 500, right?
Okay.
Additionally, when that money grows in the markets, it compounds, right?
Okay.
And I don't think people really give that enough credit. I don't think they look into that and understand it enough. And it's a very easy concept,
Yeah.
If you have $100,000 that grows at 10%, that's $110,000. What if you have $200,000 that grows at that same exact 10%?
Yeah.
It's
Now
$20,000 into your account. You haven't changed the growth rate, but you're making double the money, right?
Yeah.
So that compounding effect is really, really powerful. So, and if you're investing into an account that is not a tax-deferred account and you really want to accelerate the mortgage down the road, let that money grow for you. Use the compounding growth. Use that free money. It's magic, right? It's just magic of the compounding effect. Take that free money and accelerate the payment on your house.
Now, if Jenny's mortgage is not of the 3% variety, let's say she just recently bought a house,
Right.
now's gotten this raise, but she's now looking at, let's just call it 8% to be a little bit more dramatic versus the 3% example. Does that change the advice of whether you'd still pay down that mortgage faster?
No, I don't think it would, because I still think the magic of the compounding effect is very, very strong. And I have a lot of clients that have utilized that strategy of paying off the debt. And in retirement, they end up being a little bit more cash poor and property rich. And there's nothing wrong with owning your house, but it's very difficult to take a vacation by trading in your bathroom door. Right. You have to have.
We can't take out a HELOC and go on vacation. Well, I mean, you can.
You can, but it's just not the smartest thing to do. As I joke with people about that all the time. What do? Take a panel off your garage door and go to Home Depot, or go buy a car with it or something? No. So it's good to have that balance. And mortgage rates are higher right now. There's no doubt about it. But give them some time. Maybe they'll come down. Just be a little bit more methodical, about this process. So.
Okay, makes a lot of sense. Let me throw one more curveball at you. I know Jenny didn't ask about this, but let's change her question and say she was wanting to pay down credit card debt.
Okay.
Would that change your answer?
It would.
At that point?
It would. It would change my answer. Yeah. 22%, 24, 25% interest. Yeah. Get rid of that credit card debt immediately.
So big difference between all other types of debt
24% versus 3, 4, 5, 8% on a mortgage. Yeah. Absolutely. Get rid of the credit card debt.
And car might fall somewhere. Just has to depend on where the car loan would be. If
that was we're still seeing some pretty low rates on car loans. I just had a friend buy a new car, a Honda, and he got 1.9%.
Yeah, surprisingly, they haven't gone the way of the mortgage rates.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you can get a money market account that's earning 5.25%, and the loan on your car is 1.25% or 1.9%, it still makes sense to have your money invested working for you. So,
makes sense. Yep. Jenny, hopefully that shows you just sort of the thinking behind that response.
Congrats on your raise.
Yeah, that's
nice
great.
Job.
And congrats on using it in a smart way and not just going out to eat more often. So maybe go out to eat one
every
extra,
once in a while.
One extra
okay.
time.
Absolutely.
There you go.
So,
very cool. Well, thank you, Frank, for all your help and guidance on the show today.
It's always good to see you.
If you've got questions for Frank, don't hesitate to reach out. You can set up a time to meet for a free strategy session online. Just go to oliverassetmanagement.com. You can get a full analysis of your financial plan, get prepared for retirement. And when you come in to visit with Frank or meet online, you can get a copy of his book. The time is now. Taxes, income, money, and estate. There you go. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time on The Time Blueprint.
Thank you.
Advisory services offered through Creative One Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Creative One Wealth, LLC, and Oliver Asset Management are unaffiliated entities. Licensed insurance professional. Respond and learn how financial products, including life insurance and annuities, can be used in various planning strategies for retirement. The information contained herein is based on our understanding of current tax law. The tax and legislative information may be subject to change and different interpretations. We recommend that you seek professional tax advice for applicability to your personal situation.